The rain-slicked asphalt of the coastal highway glowed red as Officer Brent Sterling slammed Julian Vance against the side of a luxury SUV. "I don't care if the light just flickered. You're out of the car because I said so." Sterling's voice was a roar of unchecked arrogance. Julian's wife, Sloane Vance, a woman of dark complexion with a terrifyingly calm gaze, watched from the passenger seat. As Sterling reached in and forcefully yanked her out by the arm, Sloane whispered, "Officer, you just laid hands on the daughter of the man who commands every drone in this airspace. You have exactly 30 seconds to check my federal clearance before the Pentagon's local security detail arrives to explain what happens when you touch a secretary's family." The sound of a heavy military transport helicopter thudding in the distance signaled a reckoning Sterling would not survive. The night was thick with rolling fog off the Atlantic. Julian and Sloane Vance were driving home from a high-profile diplomatic gala. Julian, a decorated veteran, and Sloane, a woman of dark complexion whose elegance was matched only by her intellect, were in a vehicle that was armored, though it looked like any other luxury SUV. They were a picture of discipline, but to Officer Brent Sterling, patrolling the quiet stretch of highway near the naval base, they were out of place. Sterling was a man who saw a high-end vehicle and a couple of dark complexion and immediately assumed stolen or suspicious. He didn't see the diplomatic plates. He saw a target. He flipped on his lights, his heart racing with a smug, predatory excitement. "License, registration, and don't make any sudden moves," Sterling barked, his flashlight beam blinding Julian. "Officer, may I ask why we've been stopped?" "I was maintaining the speed limit," Julian said, his voice the steady baritone of a man used to giving orders, not taking them from bullies. Sterling sneered, tapping his baton against the door. "I'll ask the questions. You've got a flickering taillight, and frankly, I don't like your tone. Step out of the vehicle. Both of you." Julian opened his door to comply, but Sterling wasn't interested in a peaceful exit. The officer reached out and grabbed Julian by the collar, forcefully yanking him out and spinning him toward the rear of the car. The physical abuse of power was immediate. Sterling pinned Julian against the trunk, his knee pressing into the small of Julian's back. "Stay down," Sterling hissed. He then turned his attention to Sloane. Instead of asking her to exit, he reached through the open window and gripped her forearm, pulling her out of the seat so hard she stumbled onto the wet pavement. "Officer, you are currently in violation of multiple federal protocols," Sloane said, standing up and smoothing her evening gown with a chilling dignity. She felt the bruise forming on her arm where his fingers had dug in. "I don't give a damn about your protocols." Sterling laughed, a jagged, arrogant sound. "On this road, I'm the Secretary of State, the judge, and the jury. You two look like you're running from something, and I'm going to find out what." He tightened his grip on Sloane's wrist, forcing her toward the ditch. "Maybe a night in a cold cell will teach you some respect for the badge." A second cruiser pulled up, and Officer Miller, a rookie, stepped out. He looked at the SUV, then at the couple. He noticed a small, discreet Department of Defense seal in the corner of the windshield. "Brent, wait! Check the sticker," Miller whispered, his voice cracking with fear. "Shut up, Miller. They're resisting." Sterling lied, his ego refusing to let go of the wind. He ratcheted the handcuffs onto Julian, intentionally clicking them past the safety point. A passing motorist, Commander Reed, an active duty officer from the nearby base, slowed down. He recognized the vehicle from the base's VIP hangar. "Officer, that's a Tier 1 secure vehicle. What are you doing?" Sterling turned on Reed, pointing his service weapon at the ground, but in Reed's direction. "Move along, sailor. Police business. You want to lose your stripes for interference." Sterling's arrogance successfully cleared the witnesses, but he failed to see the emergency beacon Sloane had activated on her watch. Sloane looked at Sterling. "Officer, I am the daughter of Secretary Elias Sterling, your namesake, though certainly not your kin. My father is currently on a secure line with the governor. If you do not release my husband in 10 seconds, this highway becomes a restricted military zone." Sterling just mocked her. "And I'm the Emperor of China. Get in the back of the car." The suspense reached a fever pitch as the sound of the wind was suddenly drowned out by a rhythmic thud-thud-thud from above. A massive Blackhawk helicopter, lights off, descended toward the highway, its searchlight suddenly snapping on and bathing the scene in a blinding white glare. The flow shifted from a traffic stop to an international incident. 3 black tactical vans with defense force markings screeched to a halt, blocking Sterling's cruiser from both sides. The silence that followed was terrifying. General Marcus Vance, Sloane's uncle and the base commander, stepped out of the lead van. He didn't look at the couple. He looked at the officer who had his hand on his niece's bruised arm. Just before the shocking reveal, we want to take a quick moment to thank you for your support, love, and kindness. We wouldn't have come this far without you. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue to bring you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's get back to the story. General Vance walked directly into Sterling's personal space. He didn't use a weapon. He used the sheer weight of his 4 stars. "Officer," the general said, his voice a low, vibrating rumble that made the gravel jump. "You have exactly 3 seconds to unhand the Secretary of Defense's daughter before my men treat you as a hostile threat to a protected asset." Sterling, paralyzed by the sight of 30 armed soldiers surrounding him, looked at Sloane. His arrogance vanished, replaced by a cold, hollow terror. "General, the Taillight." Sterling stammered. "The Taillight is a tactical sensor, you idiot," the general growled. "And you? You're a liability who just committed a federal offense on camera." The highway was no longer a public road. It had become a command center of federal power. Officer Brent Sterling stood frozen, his hand still gripping Sloane's wrist, as if his brain had forgotten how to signal his muscles to let go. Around him, 30 members of a specialized defense force unit stood in a tactical perimeter, their presence making his small cruiser look like a toy. "Drop her arm. Now," General Vance ordered, his voice a quiet, lethal command. As Sterling's grip finally failed, Julian Vance stood up in the back of the car, the general's men quickly uncuffing him. Julian didn't strike the officer. He simply stood next to his wife, shielding her from the wind. The truth reveal hit Sterling like a physical weight. The suspicious couple he had planned to humiliate were the highest-ranking diplomatic assets in the region. Sloane wasn't just someone's daughter. She was a senior advisor to the Pentagon, traveling in a vehicle that was technically a mobile command post. Sterling hadn't stopped a car. He had attacked a piece of national security infrastructure. General Vance stepped closer to Sterling, leaning in until the officer could see his own terrified reflection in the general's polished metals. "Officer Sterling," the general whispered, "you told my niece that you were the judge and jury on this road. But out here, in the shadow of that naval base, you are a civilian who just assaulted a federal official during a state-level transit." The local police chief, who had been scrambled to the scene by the governor, arrived in a screech of tires. He looked at the Blackhawk hovering overhead, and then at the general. He didn't even wait for a report. He walked directly up to Sterling and personally ripped the badge off the officer's windbreaker. "Chief, wait. I thought it was a routine stop." Sterling pleaded, his arrogance replaced by a pathetic, whining desperation. "You don't think, Sterling. You hunt," the chief roared. "You spent your career looking for excuses to bully people who look like this couple, and you finally picked the one fight you couldn't win. You're under arrest for federal battery and deprivation of rights under color of law." In front of his rookie partner, the military unit, and the passing motorists who had stopped to witness the incredible scene, Sterling was forced to his knees. The man who had tried to teach respect with his handcuffs was now feeling the bite of the steel himself. He was loaded into the back of a tactical van, not a police car, to be transported to a federal holding cell. The Coastal Highway incident led to a massive federal investigation into the precinct's history. Sloane Vance used the incident to spearhead the Accountability Act, a new law that mandated federal oversight for any police department located near sensitive military installations. The moral resolution saw the flickering taillight, which was actually an encrypted signaling beacon, replaced with even more advanced tech, but the real change was in the law. Julian and Sloane continued their diplomatic work, their status in the city reaching legendary proportions as a couple who stood their ground against a bully. The officer who thought he was the law found out that the law is a shield for the innocent, not a sword for the arrogant. Power is a loan from people, not a gift to your ego. When you use your authority to intimidate those you perceive as lesser, you are proving your own unworthiness of the position you hold. The truth is, the world is a complex network of hidden strengths. The person you choose to target today may be the very one whose influence can dismantle your entire world tomorrow.